Have you ever found someone on LinkedIn who was a perfect prospect? You worked with them, you landed an appointment, you did the deeper discussion, your demonstration, all the way to the close, and they actually made a purchase. They became a new customer. If you've ever done that on LinkedIn, it is an amazing feeling to know that your efforts of social selling, your nurturing, your guidance helped this person to come across the line, and you didn't have to depend on your company. Now, some of you are listening to this and say, Donald, it can't work for my business. Don't work for our industry. Or I tried it and it didn't help. I didn't get anybody. No one wanted to do business with me. You probably were doing one or two things wrong. And today we're going to go over 4 pillars that can help you to make sure you do it right. It's a good feeling. This episode is brought to you in part by mailtag.io. It's a Chrome browser extension that notifies you when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. Go ahead and check out a 14-day trial with Mailtag. Simply go to mailtag.io. This episode is also brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program, a course designed to help sellers elevate their sales game, find more ideal customers, build stronger value, and close more deals. To check out our upcoming semester or to go ahead and take a free trial, go to thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I am your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have Bryn Tillman, and she is the LinkedIn Whisperer. She is the CEO of LinkedIn Whisperer of Social Sales Link. Now, Bryn, she's been a successful sales rep, a sales trainer, and a coach, and her experience spans over 3 decades. Now, specifically, she has a lot of experience working with LinkedIn to generate new opportunities. And I'm so excited to help you and to make you get that good feeling of landing your own opportunities. She's going to break it down, share with you these 4 pillars, and I want you guys to take them, obviously, and apply them. Let's go ahead and dive into the content. Welcome to the show, Bryn.
Oh my gosh, Donald, thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited.
I am so excited to chat with you because here's why I'm so excited for this. I love using LinkedIn, but I can tell you I've used LinkedIn ever since I first got into sales, so like about 15 years ago, but I've just never been too effective at it. I've always wanted to increase, so I always try to learn. So whenever I can get something new about LinkedIn, I am all over it. And it's many of us who are listening too who fall into that same boat. So I'm looking forward to diving into this and learning a little bit more about you and your experiences. So why don't you give us a little bit of insights? I bragged about you in the pre-recording there. I talked about you and your experiences, but tell us more about what you do, Bryn.
Well, I am by trade actually a sales trainer and producer. And then just a little over 10 years ago, I found LinkedIn and really fell in love with it as a prospecting tool, even though at the time it was really only being used for job search and recruiting. And so I started to develop a sales curriculum around LinkedIn. And now obviously social selling is such a big thing, but I feel like I was a real early adopter of LinkedIn for social selling. And so that's really what I primarily focus on, is how to leverage it to stand out, to attract, teach, and engage your buyers, to leverage your clients and more market to get conversations and appointments. So generally, that's what I do.
Well, you said something that really just stood out and brought back memories. I remember when I was using LinkedIn early on, it was one of my first sales gigs, and my manager was not too pleased with us using LinkedIn. And it's exactly what you emphasized. The branding of LinkedIn was finding a better job. So they were always like apprehensive against us salespeople taking advantage of LinkedIn. I was like, you're missing the point. Mm-hmm. And many people fell into that category. And sometimes the profiles that we've had developed around that. Let's speak to that for first off. You mentioned something about, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of leveraging LinkedIn for business development. But many of us have watched videos, we've heard about your profiles, but maybe we can just lightly go over this. Are there common mistakes that people need to adjust with their profiles when it comes to LinkedIn if they're using it for business?
Absolutely. And by the way, LinkedIn actually has their own rating, their social selling index that you can get to. Actually, if you go to getmyssiscore.com. It'll redirect if you're logged into LinkedIn, you'll get your score. And that first one is establish your establish your professional brand. So that's LinkedIn's number one grading of your social selling acumen. And so, as you mentioned, that profile is really where that lies. And the mistake I think that sellers make is they stick to that mentality that my profile should be a resume. When in fact, if you really want to be a good social seller, it should be a resource.
Talk about that. Let's give me an example of what you mean by that, like a resource.
So by positioning your profile to provide insights and value to your buyers, you are actually gaining credibility pretty early on. You're creating curiosity and you're getting them excited to take your phone call, because if they can learn from your profile, they will imagine how valuable a conversation would be with you. And so you're really positioning yourself as that subject matter expert and that thought leader and getting your buyers excited to take your call. There's a stat out there from corporate visions that 74% of buyers choose the sales rep that provided value and insights early on in their buyer journey. And so why not start with our profile? Often this is their first impression of us. So let's do it right and let's provide value. They don't care about us yet. They don't care about our mission, our passion, or even our years in business right now. All of that may matter down the road as you start to build relationships with your buyers. But initially, all they care about is the value you can bring to them and how relevant you are. And so we really want to make sure that we're positioning our profile that way. So the best tip in doing this is look at your summary, not as an extension of your experience, but almost like a blog post. What kind of value can you bring them from the very first time they start reading about you? And typically I would start with identifying the challenge that your buyer is facing, providing 3 to 5 insights that can make immediate impact, a vendor agnostic impact, meaning these insights they can use even if they never talk to you or buy from you. But the mistake we often make is that we create this to be a pitch. So we tell them how to buy from us or why to buy from us instead of really attracting them to us and getting them to want to actually ask the question, how can we work together? And now you've really positioned yourself with a very high level of credibility, and you'll move the sale much more quickly through the sales cycle.
So if we were to look at this from an example standpoint, maybe if I sell office furnitures, it wouldn't be in my best interest to talk about, how wonderful I've been in the office supply industry and all about what kind of furniture we use, but maybe I can address the top 5 challenges that people have that comes around office furniture. Maybe I can bring some of that, value out in that summary. Is that what you get that?
Well, yeah. So let's just go with that example for a moment. So if you were selling office furniture, the first thing I would ask is, who's your buyer and what's their biggest challenge right now? Or generally speaking, of all the people that buy from you, what are they facing when they have this need? So potentially, let's say they say to me, well, they're expanding, they're growing, they've moved, right? Like these are all the different challenges. And then I would say, so what's the challenge of them using other companies? So is it minimums? Is it the inability to trade in your old furniture to get new furniture? Like we look at what's your differentiator, what helps you stand out, and then educate. Don't talk about it being differentiator, but educate them on how that point is really important when choosing an office furniture company. And then, so maybe some of the issues they may find with choosing office furniture companies is guarantees, right? There could be a million things. I don't know that industry too well, but whatever that is. So now what we do is we start to teach them how to buy, but we'll teach them how to buy office furniture in a way that certainly leans towards us as the solution, but that's providing insights that can help them make better decisions for them and their company as well.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I love that. So if you're listening to this as a sales rep, I want you guys to just go back and replay that last 2 minutes there and see how that portion there just jumped out. It's way much more about benefiting my buyer in a conversational manner as opposed to features and benefits. And our company is the best. We've been around for 15 years. It's a lot different. Okay. Well, let's continue this conversation here along the lines of the pillars. Let's highlight what are those top 4 pillars that you would recommend that we...
Yeah. So I'm just going to mention them based on LinkedIn, how LinkedIn defines them. So the first one was establish your professional brand. Mm-hmm. The second one is find the right people. The third one is engage with insights. And the fourth one is build relationships. But when I teach this, I actually flip the last 2. So the order in which I teach is establish the brand, which is your profile.
Yeah.
Find the right people, which is how are we leveraging LinkedIn to find your buyers, find your influencers. The Challenger sale will tell us that on average there are 6.8 people that are part of almost every large buying decision. So if that's the case, how are we identifying all the right people inside of an organization that we want to be touching, not just the one champion that takes our call, right? So how are we finding those folks? And how are we engaging with our new and existing connections in a way that gets them interested to chat with us? The build relationship piece is really the prospecting piece. And this to me is so vital. It's a combination of providing great value and leveraging our network to get introductions to our targeted prospects and buyers. And then engage with insights is how are we sharing content, commenting and engaging on content, using hashtags to find the right content, and feeding our network with really valuable insights that moves them closer to our solution.
So a couple things there. I had a friend that shared this video and it was just it opened my eyes because I was doing LinkedIn all wrong when it came towards content. I thought, you have this idea, well, if I just like stuff, then that's going to help. But I found out with the LinkedIn algorithm, obviously it wasn't just like and LinkedIn wanted to see you fully engaging. So not you're liking, you're commenting, or even like you're, sharing some of that stuff, sharing the content and so forth. And that helped because it's natural, right? If you truly are engaging if you're truly connecting with someone, you're truly appreciating their content, you're probably going to have discussion with them and you're probably going to maybe send them a private message. You're probably going to share their stuff. And that helped tremendously, where sometimes I find sellers who say, well, LinkedIn doesn't work because it's the fact that they jumped on and they just send out a bunch of invites and then they may do the like thing like I do, just go down like. And then obviously because they're spamming, they're not getting that return. Is that your things you've seen as well when it comes to sellers, quote unquote, engaging? Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest mistakes that sellers make is the random acts of social. Just like anything that we do without a purpose or a plan is rarely going to see success, right? So, and certainly not on a consistent basis. So we want to have a plan put together. Now, one of the mistakes people make, and you mentioned they connect to all these people. They often connect and forget. So to me, that's like going to a networking meeting, walking up to someone, handing them your business card, shaking their hand and walking away.
Right? What's wrong with that?
Right. Well, you can collect lots of business cards with lots of rubber bands around them in the corner of your desk. But at the end of the day, how valuable is that? That's not a network.
No.
And so it's really important that there's a process in place. And the other thing is you're at a networking meeting. It's like you're walking around and you want to collect every single person's business card. You want to, pick a few, have some conversations, see if there's a connection, maybe connect and set up an additional one-on-one coffee meeting later on if it makes sense. So we want to take that thoughtfulness and bring that online. There's no reason for us to network significantly different online and in real life. So take everything that we know logically when we meet people, we start a conversation, we learn about them, we ask them questions. We try, to get to know them a little bit. And if we can do that really well, then all of a sudden LinkedIn becomes our most valuable networking tool.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Brayden is going to continue with the rest of the pillars to help us to find our own opportunities on LinkedIn. You're listening to the Sales Evangelist podcast, and I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. You meet this amazing prospect on LinkedIn. They're the right size firm, the right income, the right number of employees. They're right within your Goldilocks zone. They have a problem, and you can solve that problem with your software. You schedule an initial appointment. You send out an email to them and to a couple of their team members. You also send out some information about your firm, but you don't know if they're opening your emails or not. You don't know if they're clicking through and going to the web pages that you recommended. It's a Chrome browser extension that allows you to get notification when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. The coolest part is that you can schedule your emails for later. Mailtag.io has a free 14-day trial, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and test it out. And when you do fall in love with it, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get half off your subscription for life. Shh, don't go telling nobody about that now. Half off your subscription for life just because you're listening to the TSE podcast. To find out more information, again, go to mailtag.io. But let's continue the story. The prospect then goes ahead and clicks on all of your links. They go back to your website. They're doing their initial research. They want to schedule the next meeting. You go through the process. You create a demonstration. I mean, an amazing demonstration. You gave it everything you had, your emotion, your heart, your feelings. You gave epic value. But still yet, when it's all said and done, they said,
Thank you so much, Donald. Unfortunately, we are going with another vendor. We appreciate all that you did. Thank you.
Devastated. I know that feeling. I've been there. You've been there. And it's horrible. But we can fix that. We fix that by helping you with TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We would love for you to check out our upcoming semester to learn how we can help you not only find the right customers, not only say the right things and help your clients get all the way to the demonstration, but actually what you should be doing to help them convert to come towards your product or your service. To find out more information, go to thesalesevangelist.com/CST. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/C for certified, S for sales, T for training. We have a new semester coming up in April, and I would love to have you join us. Let's help you to close more deals. Hey, we're back. And as we dive into the second half of the episode, we're going to pick up where we left off and continue the conversation with Bryn to finalize those pillars that you need to be aware of that's going to help you to generate your own opportunities on LinkedIn. What do you say when you see, we talked about, getting connected with the right people. What do we say when we go about doing that? Like, do I just back up from that? Let's go back to the strategy. What are some of the strategies? Let's say you're a sales rep and we're going to use our office furniture. None of us sell office furniture, but if somebody out there selling office furniture, you're going to get some education today. Let's say office furniture is the thing that we sell. I have this, we just created an amazing summary, but then now what's the strategy should I take advantage of? And say I am work in a company where it's decently small. There are maybe 5 of us and we do our own business development as well as account management. What strategy would you put in place for me?
Well, so the first thing we do is we want to establish what your goals are, right? Yeah. So I don't want to blanketly say we're going to put, this is exactly the strategy. So I'm going to go through sort of an example of a strategy, which may not necessarily be the right strategy for everybody. But the first thing we're going to do is establish your goals and your KPIs. What are we going to measure success against? So maybe, and this is what we would do with any sales goal, right? So maybe your goal is I need to sell 1 new client a month. Mm-hmm. In order to sell 1 new client a month, I need to have 4 proposals a month. And in order to have 4 proposals a month, I need to have 8 first conversations a month. And in order to have 8 first conversations a month, I need to have 16 introductions into my targeted buyer. Like we back that out. Obviously, this is, I'm just kind of making this up. If I need to have 16 introductions from a targeted buyer, that's 4 a week. To targeted buyers, that's 4 introductions I need to get a week. So let's say that becomes my goal, and my key performance indicators are every step we look, is my 16 converting to 8, converting to 4, converting to 1 client. So those are my KPIs that I want to look at for that particular goal. So I need 4 introductions a week. I probably need to ask for 20. So that means I need, and again, I'm kind of guessing here, right? Sure. So if I need to ask for 20, I need 5 a day. So 5 a day, I could get 5 from 1 person or 1 from 5 people. Say we decide I'm going to get 5 from 1 person every single day. And that's going to be my goal. And maybe it's I recognize it takes me about 2 hours a day to get 5 introductions a day. So what do I need to do that? Well, I need a good solid network of referral sources, and I need to have great relationships with my clients. Now I'm going to go in and maybe, let's say I have personal relationship with 50 clients over the years. Mm-hmm. If I'm a seasoned professional, if I'm not, we go with a different route, a different strategy. So now I'm going to reach out and maybe I have 50 clients and there are 3 people in each client that I built relationships with. So now I have 150 people to ask over the next, I'm not good at math, 6, 7, whatever that works out to be, right? Yeah. Usually I do this on paper. So now I know that my goal, if I want to get 5 introductions a day, is I'm going to reach out to 1 person a day or try to set up an appointment with 1 person a day, go through and I mine their connections and I put 20 or 30 names. Mm-hmm. And I reach out and I said, Mr. Client, it's been a couple of years since we worked together. I hope you're still loving your furniture and everything's great. I hope you don't mind, but I noticed you're connected to a few people on LinkedIn that I'm trying to get in front of. Would you mind setting up just a brief 15-minute call where I can read these names with you and get your thoughts around whether or not it's someone I should reach out to?
Ooh, I like that.
And now we have these conversations. So 2 things happen. 1, if they need more furniture, this is a great opportunity to re-engage in a way that's not always salesy, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to have this conversation with them, the 20 names, you talk it through, become 5. And depending on your relationship, there's 2 ways to do this. We can ask for the introduction, or if it's a CEO of a very busy company, we may want to ask if permission to name drop. So those are the 2 ways to do this. So one is with the introduction. The other might be, so Donald, thanks so much for taking my call today and reviewing these names with you. We've, identified 9 people that you think would be good for me. Would you be okay if I mentioned we had this conversation when I reach out to them?
Love it.
Right.
See, and I think what that does for me too, as a sales rep, I don't know, just sometimes that we have these podcast episodes and we share the insight, but people don't get that specific example. I mean, something like this gives you an understanding of why it's crucial for you to not only, because you can't just go up to everyone and just ask them like that. You got to have somebody that you're building this relationship with, that you brought value to the table to, that that they remember you and that they know who you are. Because if I don't remember you, if say you did business with us 15 years ago, I kept using 15 throughout the whole day, but say you used it 15 years ago, that means it doesn't necessarily mean that I still trust you or have that connection with you. So it's crucial that you're building that engagement, like we talked about earlier, and that you come with some specific guidelines, that you have your KPIs, and that you have a specific strategy like you're sharing. Man, we could go on for days with this, Bryn. My goodness, this is good stuff.
I know, sometimes I do.
Here's one question I have. What about when it's a new person? Because I have sellers sometimes who are trying to get to find new contacts. What do you recommend they say as they're reaching out to someone? How long before you send an invite to connect with someone? And after I do send an invite, how long before I engage about a potential opportunity or whatnot?
Yes, that's a good question. I mean, I'm going to, again, every client that I work with, we have, we come up with their plan based on their current goals and their current philosophies. And so we try to align it as much as possible. So I'm sort of going to throw stuff out there as an example, but it's not the only way. So let's say it's a brand new person, never been in sales before, just got out of training, and now they're on LinkedIn and they have, 85 connections on LinkedIn. So what do we do? Well, the first thing we want to do is identify the right buyers. So we develop, if you have the free LinkedIn, we develop a search string, which literally is titles of your buyers with using modifiers like or, and ultimately create a search string, which is really a mathematical equation that delivers you a list of the closest possible buyers in whatever geographic location you choose or industry and so on. So now we have this list. Now, I do want to look at second degree connections, and I do like to start there because they're, at least when you eventually reach out, you have some people in common and it doesn't feel quite as cold. But there are things that you can do to warm them up before you actually reach out. So you can look at their profile. They'll probably get a notification that says you looked at their profile. You can actually follow someone. Most people think you can just connect with them, but if you click the little more button on their profile, there's a follow button. They'll then get a notification that you followed them. And then if I would look at their recent activity, read it, engage. And if there is something, sometimes there's nothing there, but if there is something there, you can start a conversation by engaging on the content that they shared. And now you really become relevant to them. The fact that you took the time to do that. Now, if you don't have content to really engage with, when you do reach out, make it really relevant to them. And sometimes I'll say something like, because now I follow, if I engaged, I followed them, I looked at their profile, they're scratching their head going, who is this person that I keep getting notifications? And if you do this over a couple of days, it really creates curiosity. And then you reach out and, Donald, your name keeps coming up on LinkedIn. So I thought I'd reach out and introduce myself. Right. And they're like, oh, well, your name keeps coming up too. Right. So it's kind of this, almost, a little bit of flirting going on right across the aisle. Yeah. And then once they connect, thanks very much for connecting. I noticed you're the CEO of a facility or, whoever buys office furniture, right? The CEO of a growing company. I'm not sure if you are currently in the market for furniture, but if you are, I wanted to share this blog post with you. You're not selling them. Yeah. That can help you pick the best furniture for you, that creates better employee productivity or whatever it is that you wrote about. And that's where content really becomes important, right? And then, P.S. if you have any questions, I'm always, around your office furniture needs, I'm always happy to chat. So it's still soft. I'm not teaching anything, but I'm providing real value. And any point, this is where you have to start to build relationships. You don't want to jump in and pitch, right? Like you just don't want to be that person, but keep providing value. If you can get a consistent stream of great content, it's maybe how the Veridesk can help you get 10% more productivity out of your employees. And then you send them a blog. Even you might sell the Veridesk or whatever, the movable desks or standable desks, but you're not saying, hey, buy a standable desk from me. You're saying, hey, this is really interesting information that might help your team productivity. Now, once you've got some conversation going, I'm not saying don't ever sell, but bring value. And then when appropriate, maybe you say, hey, congratulations. So this is where you use Google Alerts to make sure if you've got a couple of these people or, on your radar, so that if you see anything happening in they have a press release that they moved, that they built on, that whatever that is, you have some triggers where you can reach out to them and say, I noticed that you moved, we've been kind of chatting for the last few months, and I thought maybe this would be a great time to talk to you about, how to best leverage your new space with furniture. Even if we don't work together, I'm happy to provide some insights around that.
Man, I'm just loving this. This is awesome. If there's one major piece of advice that you would give to someone, that new seller, or even just a seasoned seller listening to this who is having a tough time with LinkedIn, what's that one major piece of advice you would give them?
Build a strong network and have conversations with those people. Don't just build a network that doesn't know you. And so it's hard to say one thing.
I know, right?
You definitely need to have content. And content, by the way, doesn't have to be a blog post all the time. Content could be, your podcast is a piece of content, right? So if you have a great podcast, I have a friend that does a podcast specifically for certain targeted companies. So they're targeting a company and they'll bring in a thought leader from inside that company that they're prospecting, interview them, and then send that interview to the powers that be. Just wanted to let you know, we interviewed your sales reps. They did a really great job. Thought you'd want to hear this, right? And so that's how he actually prospects. So podcasting, you could do interviews. You can create, now with LinkedIn, you have native video. You can do these, 3-second to 10-minute videos. Don't do 10-minute videos, but 30-second to 1-minute videos that are great tips and tactics and hacks and things that really get the attention of your buyers. And make sure you're really providing value. Don't do a whole lot of noise. Make sure that every time they click through, it was worth their click.
I love it. Well, if folks out there listening to this episode want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to go about getting in touch with you, Bryn?
Well, currently I am the only Bryn Tillman on LinkedIn. So that is the best way to get a hold of me. But I mean, you know what? I'm on Twitter, Bryn Tillman, @BrynTillman. So, but LinkedIn really is the best way. And let me know that you found me on this podcast and I'll send some additional resources.
Well, we truly appreciate it. We'll go ahead and do that. Thank you so much. You're very insightful. And obviously it shows that you have this experience and knowledge and clearly you've helped many organizations. And I highly recommend, guys, that you go out and connect with Bryn. We have some links back into the show notes. Bryn, we truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
If you are listening to this and you're not taking advantage of LinkedIn, I'm just going to say, what is wrong with you, man? I've been stressing this so much. LinkedIn is just a powerhouse. And I understand. I know that some of us have tried things and they just haven't worked. Now today and last week and throughout the rest of this month, you're going to get a plethora of different ideas. Yeah, I said plethora. So many different ideas. And I want you guys to be able to test them and to try them. Take an episode, listen to the things, apply it, and see if it doesn't work for you. Now, the important part to this too is just don't think if you do a one-off shoot that it's automatically going to turn into thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, it could, but I just don't think that's likely. What I do see working is being consistent with the things you're learning. Take the things that you learned from Bryn today and from other people and apply them. And if you need further help, go ahead and reach out to Bryn. We have all of our information in the show notes, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1088, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1088. Connect with her, tell her you heard on the Sales Evangelist podcast, and I'm sure she would be more than willing to work with you. Also, while you're there, check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. It's an amazing program, amazing course, and I would love to have you join us. Find all the details again back in the show notes, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1088. You can also check out the first 2 modules for free. Again, go back to the show notes. And while you're there, check out mailtag.io. They have the 14-day offer. And when you fall in love with mailtag.io, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get 50% off your subscription for life. Great deal. Again, we share this with you because we want to help you. We want you to find more ideal customers. We want you to build stronger value. We want you to close more deals. But most importantly, it's to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show today as much as I did. And if so, go ahead and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. You know, if you can share it with your friends, your colleague, your coworker, that would be greatly appreciated. Better yet, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and show them how they can subscribe as well. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Mr. Jershon O'Bale. Our content writer and show note creator is Mr. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in the show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Sales Podcast Network.